All right, welcome to this breakdown edition of Extra. We're going to talk about Luke Altmyer a little bit with Corey Burton, who is an offensive coordinator at Hillwood High School. We're going to talk to him a little bit about all that Luke Altmyer has to offer. This is the Locked On Ole Miss Podcast.
You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, welcome to the show. Before we get started with Corey and everything, talking about Luke Altmyer, I do want to tell you about BetOnline. BetOnline.net is the fastest and easiest way to check in on all your betting needs. Find all your favorite sports and events at the #1 online source for odds, lines, and games. Find the reviews and news of every league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, esports, and even golf. I bet they even have MLS if you say pretty please. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sporting wagering information, from live in-game betting, scores, and podcasts. They have you covered. Head to BetOnline today or use your mobile device to learn more about the action happening today. As you know, Ole Miss is a 21.5-point favorite in Week 1 over Troy, and they are predicting them to win 7.5 games in the regular season. If you disagree with any of that, you can put your money where your mouth is. Corey, welcome to the show. What is BetOnline saying about Georgia?
Well, they're saying they're favorites. I mean, I think it was minus 150 or something like that on their odds to win the conference, something like that. It was something silly. They were right below Alabama. So
okay, all right. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right. We're going to talk a little bit about Luke Altmyer. We're going to do a breakdown. Corey is an offensive coordinator for Hillwood High School in Nashville, Tennessee. And he got this information and these players, I think it was the end of June that I've had that. So we've had time to look them over and all of this stuff so Corey can get well adjusted to what was going on. Luke Altmyer was 16 of 33 for 170 yards and 1 interception. Wait, my bad. Those are Eli Manning's freshman stats. Let me pull up Luke Altmyer's real quick. Luke was 20 of 37, that's 54%, for 192 yards, 1 TD, and 2 interceptions. The reason I bring that up is Eli Manning, even though he was a redshirt freshman, most of those numbers happened in the Music City Bowl. Luke Altmyer, most of his numbers happened in the Sugar Bowl, although Luke Altmyer played against a much better defense. Now,
that he did.
Yeah. I think that it's important for people to know whenever we talk about quarterbacks, we are team root for a quarterback to clearly win the job. Don't root for a particular quarterback.
Right. You know, I think when you look at these quarterback competitions, you're looking for that edge to see, okay, which guy's going to fall off, which guy's going to make that critical mistake. And you go back and look at Jackson Dart's highlights, you go back and look at Luke Altmyer's highlights, and you get this preconceived notion that it should be Jackson Dart's to win. So every time you read the practice reports from spring and now into training camp, you're thinking, okay, when is Jackson Dart going to take this thing over? But that's just kind of how we operate as football fans. But you know, you have to understand there's a lot that goes into these competitions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was like in the Sugar Bowl. I don't know how much you watched the Sugar Bowl, but Luke Altmyer was thrust in the second quarter, and that was basically emergency football. Just get me to halftime. In the third quarter, they put in a package that he was comfortable with. He looked really good in the third quarter. But Dave Aranda, being the defensive coordinator he is, adjusted to that in the fourth quarter. And he was a true freshman quarterback. He showed he can make all the throws. He showed a good bit of mobility, and he showed a little bit of moxie in that game that, you know, we honestly haven't seen since 2000, even though Eli wasn't able to come back and win the game. But like I said, Luke played against a much better defense.
Well, that was number one on my notes when I went back and watched. I watched the highlights, and I watched the game not long ago when it was replaying on SEC Network. But you know, the first note I had is he has moxie and toughness. I mean, when you look at some of the throws he made with defenders bearing down on him, it is absolutely outstanding that he was able to not only make those throws, take those hits, and get back up, but he was able to put those throws on the money. You saw him getting involved in the run game a little bit. He can run. He can move within the pocket as well. I mean, he has a lot of the tools that you need as a starting quarterback, and I think he fits well into this Lane Kiffin system. But he threw two really bad picks. What I liked was that first pick six he threw. He bounced back really well, came down through an absolute dime. I think it was it beginning of the third quarter? I can't remember what the timestamp was, but it was a 38-yard bomb that he threw in the. I think it was early in the third quarter. The poise it took to stand in the pocket and deliver that shot was amazing.
Yeah, it was something worth seeing. We had a couple of drop frames. We might have an audio sync issue on this video, but so if we do, I apologize. But we're going to keep going anyway. We'll get it fixed by the next videos. So whenever you look at a quarterback competition, what do you look for?
I look for the moxie. I look for how the guys respond to him when he's in the huddle, when he's leading the offense. What is he poised in those situations? Because there's going to be some adverse scenarios where you throw a pick, you get leveled, you have a ball batted down, or somebody, you throw a perfect pass and receiver drops it. How do you handle those situations? How do you lead the guys around you? That is the number one thing that I look for. How do you play within the system? Because we both know they both have the physical tools. They both can make a lot of the same throws. They both can do a lot of the same things with their feet. It's going to come down to those intangibles. How does he lead the group? If he can lead the group and they respond to him more than they respond to Jackson Dart, he will win this competition.
What do you notice from Luke Altmyer from that Sugar Bowl looking at his throws downfield?
I mean, just lots of accuracy, which is what Lane Kiffin wants. I think he has a rapport with the receivers. It looked like he knew kind of where they were going to be, and of course, the toughness to hang in the pocket sometimes when guys were bearing down on him.
Yeah, it was really good. There's a play sometime in the third quarter. I think Ole Miss was like on his own 7 or 8 yard line. He drops back to pass, dodges a rough rusher, rolls out to the left, throws an absolute dime to the wide receiver 35 yards downfield.
I think it was Mingo. I remember this play. It was Jonathan Mingo. Just the poise to keep his eyes downfield was the thing that stood out most on that play. I mean, he avoids the first guy, which, okay, he's a true freshman. He's an athlete. He can move. Cool. But a lot of true freshmen in that situation would either just pull the ball and run or throw it away, or maybe even try to get cute and throw it across the middle of the field, get it picked off, and that thing's either first and 10 from the red zone, or it might even come back for 6. So the fact that he kept his eyes locked downfield, he threw an absolute dime to Mingo on the sideline, got the chains moving, got him out of trouble, and I can't remember if they went down and scored on that drive, but it got them in a favorable field position at the very least.
And last thing, if Luke Altmyer wins this job, what has he done? What does he do?
What does he do? I mean, I think if he's won the job, it means the team responds well to him. I think he does really well. I think either way, he's going to fit well, and I think Lane Kiffin has a package that he can do with Luke Altmyer. So that's what it's going to take. If he's going to win this job, it's because the guys just rallied around him. More so than Jackson Dart.
All right. Thank you, Corey Burton. Tune in this week for more of Corey's breakdowns of newcomers on the Ole Miss football team.